Achieving a gorgeous grin from home isn't a total mystery with Bite Clear aligners. Just don't be surprised if all of your sleuthing friends start asking, "What's your secret?" Begin by ordering your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95. Bite Clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces. Plus, they offer flexible financing, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
When you want to have fun and have scratchers to scratch, there's a playful way you can do just that. Scratch with the key or acrylic nail. Scratch with the quill from a porcupine tail. Use a belt buckle from your friend Lamar. Or scratch with your pick while you play guitar. You can scratch in a bunch of different playful ways. Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
New activation and upfront payment for 3-month plan required. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for full terms.
And welcome back to Scarred for Life, the podcast where we open up old wounds by looking back at the films that scared us as kids. I'm Terry.
And I'm Mary Beth.
And each episode, our special guest brings with them a movie that traumatized them as a child.
This week, our guest is writer, director, and actor Krsy Fox. She most recently co-wrote and starred in Bury the Bride, which is available now on Tubi. Welcome to the show, Krsy!
Thank you for having me. I think you guys. I think. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how you feel after this. You and your daughter, which we'll get to. But we're very excited to chat with you. And
so
I know
excited.
that I have talked to you about Bury the Bride, but Terry just watched it too. And I know that he was really excited about it. He texted me.
Oh,
He
yeah?
was like, I didn't see that coming. And so.
Yay! I love that.
I love when movies can just like pull, because like I was like, something's gonna happen, and something did, and then I was like, wait, what?
I love that it was surprised you. I feel like I told Mary about this in our last interview that we were just so happy that the surprise element really worked because we weren't 100% sure that that was going to be the case. But it seems like almost unanimously people are like, what the hell? I did not see that coming. And that's super exciting because I feel like it would have worked either way, but it's way more fun when it takes a turn.
Well, it's gotta be so cool to trick horror fans who we're so good at like, oh, I know where this is going. Oh, I know what's gonna happen. Yeah. And then being able to surprise like the diehard horror fans is gotta be so cool. Especially because y'all are horror fans, so it's like, hell yeah, we got you.
Oh yeah, no, it was super exciting. Like the moment we knew was we were at Panic Fest in Kansas City, and that's where the film premiered, and we're in a theater full of people, and that was like the first time we've watched it with an audience, which was very nerve-wracking. But just the gasp when the reveal happened in the room, and we're like, yes! it worked.
I'm so excited that you did this at Panic Fest, but I'm so sad because that's when I live in Omaha. So like I live like 2.5 hours away from that, and I try to go, and this year I just couldn't. Otherwise, I would have been there for that.
That would have been awesome if you were there.
I know.
I love Panic Fest. They're so great.
They are great. They're one of my favorite fests because
cool.
you'll see things that you won't see at any other fest, and then you'll see like the typical festival favorites and stuff. But it's just a wide range of films that I love them so much.
Me too. Yeah, we love going. We'll go every year if they'll have us.
Hell yeah. But so we've kind of been talking about your movie, but for our listeners that don't know what we're talking about, can you kind of give a little bit, no spoilers, of course, but can you give them a little bit of what it's about?
Well, the basic storyline follows the bride-to-be, June, who is my little sister in it, played by Scout Taylor Compton. And she basically has a group of us girls all together to go on her bachelorette party weekend, and we've never met her fiance. Nobody's really necessarily a big fan of this really, really fast wedding, but she's like, look, he gave us his family's cabin for the weekend, so, you know, let's just go out there and have a good time. And the girls obviously want to support her. They love her. So we all go out, and of course it's this like disgusting, dirty cabin in the middle of the desert, isolated, terrifying. And the girls feel like they have to stay because June's excited about it. So they're just like, okay, well, we're going to suck it up and we're going to do this for June. And then the fiance and his friends show up on night 2, and a lot of terror ensues from there.
Mayhem ensues.
Yes.
So you co-wrote this with Spider-One, who wrote it and is also your partner. And so who came to who first with the kernel of this idea?
It was me. I had this weird concept in my head. I was in the shower one day, which I always come up with ideas in the shower. I don't know why. And I was like, hey, you know, this is a really fun idea based around a bachelorette party. We can cast a bunch of people that we love to work with. It's like one location. And this should probably be something fairly simple to shoot that we could shoot in between projects. So the basic idea of the girls going and the guys crashing it started there. And then, you know, we spent 4 or 5 days just talking about it, hashing it out. And then the twist came up. And we're like, okay, this is either the best idea in the world or the stupidest idea in the world. We don't know. But we're very happy we did it. And then, we honestly, once we figured out how everyone was going to die and how everything was going to play out, the script was written very fast. But it was definitely not an easy movie to make. I was very delusional.
I remember talking to you about it because making this movie, you and Spider were telling me how fucking hard it was to make this movie and how just being on set was really hard. It was like everything was difficult, right?
It really was. It was like, you know, I guess I didn't have as much experience with the desert. Like Scout laughs at me because she grew up in the desert. And so she's like, what? You didn't think about like the animals and this? I'm like, no, I didn't. I guess I didn't. But we did all night shoots. It was like boiling hot in the day until the sun went down, because obviously we would start before the sun went down and then shoot through the night. And then when the sun went down, it would be freezing. And we had these like insane winds, like these like dust tornadoes, like people couldn't see. And then me and Scout almost got bit by a rattlesnake one night. We had to have a snake specialist on the set. Yeah, he literally like a movie. What? We're like on our knees rehearsing like this scene with the toolbox, and we're like, and she bumps like this tumbleweed, because yes, there's a lot of tumbleweeds out there, and all of a sudden we hear like rattling, and like this snake rises up in front of our face, and I'm not kidding, and we're just like,
hell no.
Yeah, and I was screaming, and she was just sitting there. I'm like, move, and she thought I was fucking with her. Like she didn't understand what was going on. And then when she realized she's screaming, and then Spider's on like the other side of the desert at base camp, and he just hears us screaming, and he's like, oh, they probably saw a bug. And we're like, no, like,
no, it's like a venomous snake that will end the shoot.
Mad as fuck venomous snake. And so, so that was, and then we had this experience where I didn't know this, but there's like very aggressive desert spiders. And like, yeah, and we'll you know, we all love spiders in this room. So, yeah.
No. God damn it.
And you saw the film, so there's one scene where the character Carmen, played by Lindsay LaRose, she's doing this dance sequence. And it's like out in the middle of the desert. like outside. So we're walking, we're about to shoot that, and we all have like flashlights, and we're carrying a shovel. I don't really know why. And then I'm not kidding you.
Just your set shovel. Just your standard set shovel. You know, everyone needs a set shovel.
In the desert, you kind of do. And plus, you know, we got to bury the bride, right? So we're walking to the set area, and like, no joke, I'd like flash the light on the ground because there's like snake holes. And at this point, I'm traumatized. And like, we'd see these like big spiders, and they charge at you. And then you'd like, my producer Ian was with me, and he was like swinging the shovel, and they didn't care. They're like charging at the shovel. It was horrific. Like, yeah. And then our lead actor Dylan, he had a couple scenes where he had to lay on the ground, and no kidding, he got up at one point and he had 2 giant squish spiders on his back and a live one on his chest. And they were just everywhere. So yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
So I remember one of my and we'll get into this, but like I have a lot of arachnophobia, but like there was someone that I used to work with who was telling me a story that apparently, and it was in a desert, and they were sleeping on the ground in sleeping bags, and apparently because, as you said, it gets really cold at night, the spiders will charge things that are warm, and so you have warm bodies on the floor, and they're trying to like get warm basically, and so they'll charge your body because they see it as a heat source. And so this is making sense from what you're saying as well, because at night and it's cold and you're a warm body, they're running towards you.
So they wanted to get inside my skin is what you're saying. This is like basically, even worse.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, I can't even tell you.
Suit. Krisy's actually made up of desert spiders now. She's just 1,000 spiders.
Oh my God.
Spiders in a human suit.
They're like coming out of my. Oh my God! That scene from what is it? Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, where it like comes out of her.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That was too much. Anyway.
Oh my God. Well, whoever's like, anyone can make a movie. It's like, yes, but do you have the fucking like the balls to make the movie? Sorry, like that's like very essentialist, but like, do you have like the courage to? Because you never know what creature thing is going to pop out.
Just don't shoot in the desert at night, and definitely like not like the most remote desert. We would drive home as the sun is rising, and like literally there was like a guy on a bicycle way off, like in the desert, like I don't even know how many miles away, but you could see forever. And there's nothing. And he's just like riding a bike with a big jacket on, and he's got like a plastic bag. And it's like, where is that guy going? And where was he? Like, what is he doing? The desert's
weird. Like, when I see people, like, the people of the desert, I feel like are even weirder. You're like, what are you doing out here? Like, we're working. What are you doing with your giant plastic bag on your bike?
Yeah, I know. Seriously.
Good Lord.
He's going to catch spiders, of course.
Well, yeah, they're full of spiders. Absolutely.
But besides, like, starring and writing movies, you've also directed 2 films. In 2021, you directed 2, right? Both with Bonnie Aarons. Frank and I Live Alone, I believe?
Yes, correct. Yeah, I did.
That was
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, I want to hear more about that and, like, meeting Bonnie and working with Bonnie on 2 movies and, like, what that experience was like.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. It sort of started during the beginning of the pandemic because, you know, besides acting and everything else, I do music and I tour and I write with bands, and everything stopped. Right? So I was
like, you do? Jesus Christ, what don't you do?
I need a vacation from myself. Quite honestly, I do. We just went to Santa Barbara for one night, and we literally sat in the hotel room and watched Naked and Afraid, and it was the best thing ever.
Hell yeah.
That's what you deserve. That is what you deserve.
It was amazing. But no, so basically when the pandemic hit, just like a lot of people were sort of like, well, what are we doing here? Like, so I wrote a short and directed a short, and it was sort of my first attempt to do something that wasn't like a music video. It was more narrative, and it went really well, and it was so much fun, and I was like, okay, cool. Well, and then this pandemic kind of went on, and I was like, well, this isn't changing. Wonder what else I can do. Maybe I can get through an entire feature. So I wrote this connected anthology feature called Frank, which was 5 separate stories. So it sort of lent itself to, you know, what we were dealing with, because you could shoot one and then you could take like a small break, like a few weeks apart, and then you shoot the next one. And it was great because I could edit it and do all the post and the in-between. And so I didn't know if I was going to get all the way through it, but I did. And it was funny. I got through the 4th story, and I had this last story, which was around this medium who's this really intense woman who's like trying to summon the soul, basically, of the girl who committed suicide in the first story. Oh. And so her sister wants to connect with her and understand what happened. And so I was like, oh, I need someone really intense who can really pull off this character. And a friend of mine who's in the movie, she's like, hey, my friend Bonnie Aarons, she really wants to meet you and she wants to work with you on something. So if anything comes up that would make sense for her. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, could you have texted me at a better moment? So I got on the phone with Bonnie and I had about a 4-second conversation, and I'm like, she's it. Like, she dropped like 20 F-bombs in 4 sentences. Like, she just like
she's
crazy.
Hilarious.
Yeah, she's amazing.
One time, and she's insane in the best way. I mean, that she's so
in the best way. Yeah, no, she just has such a presence. You could never ignore her in a room. And I was like, that's exactly what I need. And we've actually became really, really, really close friends. She's like my other mother at this point. So we did this, and it was such a great experience. We only worked together for one day. And then I wrote this short right after called I Live Alone. And I was like, hey, Bonnie, I sort of wrote this for you. And she loved it. And she's like, yeah, I want to do this. And it ended up going from being a short into a feature length. So that we did them both in like a year. Yeah. So it was really great.
That's
and it was
cool.
Thank you. And they both came out like a few months apart. So that was kind of intense. But it really helped me get through the pandemic. Quite honestly, it was, I mean, it's hard for everybody, and I was going nuts. So
I know how that is. I mean, this honestly, this podcast kind of saved me during the pandemic. It's like to give that kind of like something creative and adding some sort of normalcy to it.
Like giving you a better sense of time. Like when you have to have things done, I feel like having a creative thing to at least give you some sense of deadline and like time passing. Because in the pandemic, I feel like time did not mean anything anymore at all.
It didn't.
Like, there's nowhere to go, no one to see. What's the point of keeping track? And like, what day is it?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess like some people took really advantage and they're like, oh, I was on an extended vacation. I took a real break. It was awesome, but I'm just not that person. I'm not good at that. So, you know, and then after that, we did Allegoria, which Spider wrote and directed, and I produced, and I starred in that one. And that was during the pandemic as well, and then, you know, we went kind of right into Bury the Bride. And luckily at that point, it was basically, we're over the whole lockdown situation, which was nice. We actually all were, you know, in a trailer together having a great time, and everyone wasn't afraid of each other, which was fantastic too. You know?
So basically the pandemic launched your like directing, writing career, because I know that you were an actor before and some stuff, and you were doing music, but I mean the pandemic is why we're here with you today with all of the awesome movies and stuff that you've worked on. You've worked on a lot in the past 3 years, like you just saying, like 4 movies now, like that's wild in like 2 or 3 years.
It's absolutely insane. And we've done a couple shorts, and I've done 2 shorts. Spider did 1, and then we're about to shoot our 5th feature on the 19th. We start, which is insane. Yeah, we're so excited. We're just like in that final stretch now, and like, you know, here we go.
Wow.
Jeez. Well, y'all keep busy, that's for sure.
Yes. Yeah, it's been busy, but it's been good. And I think it kind of made our daughter this like little horror movie fanatic, because she was on all the sets. She like, since she was 5 months old, she's been just around monsters and special effects, and she loves, like, she had a Freddy versus Jason 3rd birthday party. She's like, this is me. Like,
oh my god, that's amazing. That is amazing. Creating the next generation of horror fans.
Oh yeah, we just went to Monsterpalooza, and she was just like, because she went the year before, and so she's like, oh yeah, no, I know this now. I've got it handled. She's like,
she's gonna be the coolest kid at Monsterpalooza too, like walking around. Everyone's like a kid. She's like, oh yeah, no, I'm scared of nothing. Like,
yeah, she's like, I don't care. Yeah, no, she was dressed up as Annabelle, and they're exactly the same size, and they look alike. So everyone was like, oh, yeah, she was so happy. Yeah, she was like, she was repping James Wan that day because she had like her little jigsaw toy, or Billy jigsaw toy. She calls him Jigsaw, and then she's dressed as Annabelle. So she was just all about it, and And yeah, we couldn't leave until we said goodbye to every single monster that we had passed through the whole day. So we had to like do full laps to say goodbye to everybody before we left. Yeah, I think everyone thinks she's crazy.
I think she sounds like the coolest kid on the planet. So.
Absolutely.
I'm biased, but I agree.
So, okay, I'm curious because you write music, you direct, you write, you act. Where did all this creative stuff, has it always been since you were a kid? How did you get interested in all of these different creative pursuits?
I mean, yeah, it's really been since I was really young. I always wanted to be an actress, and I grew up on Vancouver Island, which is super remote.
Yeah.
It's sort of weird because you're not attached to a mainland, so everything just gets there very late. And it's just, you just feel very like separated from the rest of the world. And so, you know, I would express this early on, and nobody in my family at that time that I knew, I didn't meet my dad till I was 13. So nobody at that point in my life was connected to like entertainment or anything. So they're like, oh no, you can't do that. You have to know somebody, you know, and I just didn't want to hear that. And then I started taking acting classes and doing all that. And I always wrote. I wrote short stories. I would write song lyrics. I would write scripts, but I was a little kid. So they're like, I can imagine I wish I could find some of them. But then, yeah, I met my dad, and I was, you know, starting to get into the place where I need an agent, and my dad happened to be work in the sets on the X-Files.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and so I looked at I was like, well, now I know somebody, even though, you know, that didn't really help me in any way whatsoever, but in my mind, I was like, well, see, okay. So I went and got myself an agent, and I started, just doing a bunch of auditions, and then I started booking things, and then it kind of grew. I dated a few musicians, and then I would, write, and then had some songs on the radio, and it just kind of developed from there. It was sort of very organic, and yeah, just a whole lot of not believing or listening to anybody else except for myself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you have to have that
obviously it's fucking
kind of
paid
feel.
off. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would recommend to everybody is like, if you want something, you just do it. Don't listen to anybody else because, I think a lot of people, from small towns also, they just feel like there's no opportunity. And so just things aren't possible, but that's not true. I mean, look what we did through the pandemic. We didn't think we could make a movie. Like, we're just like, oh no, we have to have a production company. You have to have millions of dollars. You have to, but that's a lie. You don't have to do any of those things. You just have to have a vision and write something that's attainable, and you get a great team together of people that are like you, and you do it. And that's kind of been our motto. We have the same crew for every film we've done. They're still with us. We're just like a little skeleton crew family that's grown a little bit, but it's still, we all do 20 jobs.
Indie filmmaking at its finest, but that's a testament to how strong that found family is. If everyone is working on like the same projects with you, like that's amazing. And then 100%. Like you just can trust them too. Like that's just awesome.
Yeah, we love it, and it just feels so great, and it's very exciting that we're getting close to this new one because we've just been working our asses off the past few months. So we're just like, let's go. We're ready. Just do it today.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, then how did you get introduced to horror? Was that also something from your childhood? Like, what was your relationship to the horror genre growing up?
Oh, very much since childhood. Again, it was something I sort of discovered on my own. My parents didn't really limit what I watched or like, they didn't care about rated R. It's just like, oh, she's being quiet. Leave her alone, sort of thing. So, which I probably talked a lot, I am assuming. So no, I remember, well, the first real scary film I saw, I was 3, and I was in a hotel room, and my mom had a boyfriend at the time, so they had like those single beds, and I had to sleep on the floor in between them. And they were watching The Fly with Jeff Goldblum. And I was like destroyed. Like I cried all night. I was like, he's under the bed. I'm telling you, he's under there. He's looking at me. And that messed me up. And then I think only a couple years after that, I stumbled on the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I was just horrified. And then I was just like, when it ended, I wanted to cry and throw up. But then I was like, I want to watch that again. Like right away, I just had that in me. And there was other films like Arachnophobia that, I hate spiders. So that was another one that very young really, really disturbed me. And then I started to discover films like The Craft and Scream and, at my age that they were just perfect because I was totally like, as a little girl, like, I was sort of more like alternative vibes. And I was like, those are the girls I want to hang out with. Like the girls from The Craft, that would be my crew. Like they get me. And I was so much younger than them that I could like look up to them. And so that was really cool. Like just to see a film like that was scary, but also really relatable.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like you're kind of like a horror head from the get-go, but did you have like favorites that you would go back to as a kid?
Yeah. I mean, I would watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre a lot. It's funny, when I started to spend weekends with my dad, we started to like deep dive and we'd try to find like really, really bad movies and we'd watch them over and over again. That was fun. So that was always fun. But we also watched, this doesn't fall under the bad movie category, but we also watched Nightbreed almost every single time I was at his house.
Oh, wow.
No way. Cool.
Yeah.
So your dad was a big horror person too. So you guys kind of bonded over that?
Yeah, he really enjoyed it. And, obviously I started watching The X-Files because he worked on it. And I remember the night I saw Home, it's that famous episode.
We talked about that episode with Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead because that fucked them up, both of them. Yeah.
I remember I was home. Well, I was at my friend's house and we were home alone. And we watched it together. And
oh, God.
We were running around checking every door, making sure it was locked. And it was just like, what the hell did we just watch? So, yeah, it was nice to have somebody that was an adult to watch these films with. And, my dad took me to Scream in the theater, which was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh, my gosh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, so... It sounded like when you were younger, you were obviously easily scared. But as you got older, like, were you still easily scared? Did scary movies scare you? Or did you get kind of desensitized pretty quickly because you were watching horror movies all the time?
That's a good question. I mean, I would get scared easily, but I love to be scared. So that was great. Okay. But then as I got older, it was more home invasion stuff that, like, something that could really happen.
Yeah.
Like, I remember seeing The Strangers, and I was by myself. I used to go to this movie theater by myself all the time during the day just because I was like, I just want to see a movie, and it was in between auditions, and so I would see everything at this theater. It was right by my house. And I saw The Strangers, and then I had to go home by myself. My partner at the time was out of town. And I'm like, why the fuck did I just do that? I was so destroyed. But then, but I remember the following weekend, I called my dad. I'm like, we have to go see this movie again. You have to come with me. You have to see it.
Aww.
Yeah. And so I took my dad and we went.
That movie, I saw the movie in theaters and it destroyed me. I did not see it alone. I saw it with my dad at night though. And we sprinted to the car because we were like, they are here. They are waiting between the cars. Fuck this shit. I'm not like, because the whole like you were home line got to me as a teenager when I saw it, because I was like, wait, people can be just really fucking scary. Like that was like one of my first instances of really being able to register that like people can just do horrible things for no reason. And I was like, I don't like that at all. 100%. I don't like having that in my head. I don't like thinking about it. I would rather just never know that people are that bad. I mean,
I was living in an apartment at the time, and I went home and I lived alone, and I was like, I don't want to be in here right now, even though it was an apartment. It's like there are millions of people, not millions, but there's, dozens of people around me. Mm-hmm. I'm not in the middle of nowhere, but I was like, no. Double check that lock, make sure everything is all tight up.
No, I mean, there's movies that are like, the other thing that gets me is like alien shit. I can't like.
Really?
Like, yeah. So like we went and saw Dark Skies in the theater, and I think we went to like the midnight showing. And my friend had to come home with me and sleep in my bed with me. And we just ran friends 24. I was an adult. Like, I have no right to be that scared. I don't know. It's just something about that. Or like, that trailer from Signs, just when like the fingers go under the door.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Nightmares for like a week. I was done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you seen Fire in the Sky?
Yes. Oh my God. Anything
abduction
like
scene?
That. Fuck. Yeah, no, it just destroys me, like, every time. And, the other thing I just absolutely love, though, this is, like, any shark movie. I will watch any shark movie. I don't care what it is. It could be the worst movie in the world. I don't care, yeah. But that's different. Like, I won't swim in the ocean, so I'm fine. But it's just, like, It's fine. But I love them.
I love them too. And I had like a few years ago got into the Italian shark movies from like the late 70s, early 80s and stuff. And those are so bad, but they're so good. I just love them.
We watched one recently and I watched the whole thing and it was called like Toxic Shark or something. And it shoots like a poison at you and you something like that. I think it might have been on Tubi or something. We sat and watched the whole thing. I was just like, it truly doesn't matter, but and I also made a mistake and showed my daughter Sharknado. So we had probably a solid 6 months where Sharknado, all of them would play on loop in our house every single day, all day. And I'm not exaggerating. Oof. Yeah. So there's a lot of Sharknado.
I know. I remember annoying my parents so much as a kid where it's like I have like a movie and I become obsessed with it. And so like that's the movie that is constantly being watched. Yes. So I get that.
well, her current one, which I'm actually sort of proud of, is Zombieland. Like she just wants to watch it over and over and over again. And we're like, well, let's watch part 2. And she's like, no, Zombieland one.
What's the first one?
Yeah.
I just watched The Last Unicorn. Damn. My brother watched Finding Nemo, so it's kind of like a shark movie.
Yeah, that's true. There's a shark in it. Yeah.
Do you still get scared now? Are you still easily scared by horror stuff?
Not really. It takes a lot to get me. I think the last time I got really scared was Dark Skies. But like I said, if I watch a home invasion movie, I got really weirded out at the end of The Dark and the Wicked.
Yeah, well, fuck
and
that
I was like
movie.
watching it,
that
I was
movie's
fine.
Fucking scary.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Well, Spider was hanging out with me and I started watching it and then he just got up and went to bed. And so I just sat in the dark and watched it. And I was like, no, like this, those last couple of minutes, I was like, this isn't okay. And
it's so bleak.
Yeah, it's bad. It's good, but it's really hard. It was really hard to get through. Cool. But no, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. Mm-hmm. It's usually, something that could happen to me.
When you pick up some scratches, cause you want a fun break, the playful way you scratch is the next choice you should make. You can make your dog's leg kick and scratch with that. You could even grab a laser pointer and use your cat. You can build yourself a homemade scratching machine or use a piece from your chess set. Go ahead, grab the queen. Scratch like a DJ with your record player. A cactus could scratch off that scratchable layer. Cause when it comes to scratching, there's a million playful ways. Thanks to scratchers from the California Lottery, a little play can make your day.
Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B. And advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right. Over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs. Also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, well, so we've talked about your creative work and your horror history, but Krsy, what movie did you bring with you today for us to discuss?
Ooh.
Oh, I'm so excited for Terry. Okay, well, this one... let's just dive. It's Arachnophobia, okay?
Oh yes, it is, guys. We have talked about this in our first episode because this was the first movie that Terry and I ever talked about. Because this is Terry's Scarred for Life pick, but we are back with a guest, the perfect guest to talk about this movie with. So if you need a reminder of what Arachnophobia is about. In the film, after a nature photographer dies on assignment in Venezuela, a poisonous spider hitches a ride in his coffin to his hometown of rural California, where arachnophobe Dr. Ross Jennings has just moved in with his wife and their 2 kids. As town residents start turning up dead, Jennings begins to suspect spiders and must face his fears as he and no-nonsense exterminator Delbert McClintock fight to stop a deadly infestation.
So this movie is very special because I hate this movie. Let's just throw that out there. But this movie is very special because it is honestly the reason that this podcast exists. It's the reason that I really kind of met Mary Beth. It's sort of like we're now like almost 4 years later, and it's mostly because of this movie, to be perfectly honest, because so this movie is very special, but also very hated on this podcast. But I want to hear about you. Take us back. How old were you when you saw this? How did you see this? Why is this your Scarred for Life moment?
Okay, well, so I saw this, I was 7 years old. So when I was growing up, my parents would build our houses. Like that was like a thing they did. So we had this like nice house on the top floor, but the bottom floor was like an unfinished basement, right? And so there's there was areas of it that were still needed, didn't even have proper flooring. And then my bedroom was down there, but it was done. It was like a completed bedroom. And then there's like a little living area that was sort of completed, but it would lead into the unfinished area. So I watched it down there. And I'm not kidding you. We had these gigantic, like I've never seen wolf spiders that would live down there.
Fuck them.
Yep.
Fuck wolf spiders.
Yep.
So I was already traumatized by just being down there and then I saw this movie and I was ruined. Oh my God. And so I already had a deep fear. And then I'm not going to lie, I watched it probably 2 or 3 more times in that short span because I had to see it again.
Oh, wow.
It really fucked me up. And I don't know, I got something out of that for some reason.
Oh, cool.
But no, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything because the spiders would come in my room. Sometimes you'd find one on my bed. So it was just, I was so happy when we moved out of that house. I don't really know why that basement never got finished, but they just loved it down there and it was horrible. So yeah, that was my first experience. And I had something, I have to tell you guys this story. This is like not related to me being a little kid, but this is, I haven't even told anybody this story. It fucked me up so bad. So I live in Los Angeles, right? So we get black widows here.
God.
So this one night, I think it was probably a year ago, I was sitting in our backyard with some friends over. And I have these like 2 outdoor cats that just like live in my yard. They're just like stray cats that I fixed, and then I just let them live their life and whatever. Oh. And they're happy. And we were watching a movie on the projector, and they were like around, and I just all of a sudden hear like a cat yelling, like it was in distress. So I got worried that it was one of my cats. So I go get like my chair and I drag it over to the back area of our backyard where there's like an overhanging tree and some bushes, and I'm like looking over the neighbor's fence to make sure. And I didn't see anything. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So I go back down, sit, start watching the movie again. I put my hair up in a ponytail and I'm like, oh God, I'm so itchy. So it's like, this is weird. Like my head was so itchy and I didn't know why. And I was like, God, whatever. And I forgot about it. And then I'm not kidding. I went to my room. It was like late. I'd been drinking wine all night. I washed my face and brushed my teeth. And then I went to sleep. And then the next morning I got up and I'm like, I'm still so itchy. I take my hair out of the ponytail. There's 2 black widow egg sacs in my hair up against my scalp.
Fuck that shit, I'm out.
Yeah.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Just in case anyone wants to know, Terry just left.
Terry's left. Terry left the room. Terry's done. Terry won't be...
You guys, I thought I had like a fever for 4 days. I couldn't think of it.
No.
So I'm pulling and they're throbbing, like they're moving. So I rip them one at a time out of my head and I throw it in the sink and I start running water and then they're like going down the drain and then I'm like remembering that water doesn't just kill a spider. I'm like, oh my God, now they're going to hatch in my drain. Oh my God. I am so lucky they did not hatch in my bed.
Seriously,
all over my hair.
God, can you imagine?
No, I haven't even, I couldn't even talk about this until right now. It took me a year, guys. It was so bad. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Are the cats okay, by the way? Are the cats okay?
They're absolutely fine. So it was some other fucking asshole cat that trapped me. So I would get fucking egg sacs in my, I had this podcast called Bleeders Digest, and it was like this fiction horror podcast, and that was the only thing I did with that is I wrote a story that I had Bonnie Aarons narrate called Spider Lady because of that story. And I've sort of exaggerated it because I had to get it out of my head. I had to do something to like creatively let it go.
That is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. It was, I'm like burning up talking about it. I'm not kidding.
I know, like I'm not really that scared of spiders, but that's not even scared. That's just like the worst nightmare of anyone's life.
Yeah. And they're poisonous on your head. And how did I get 2?
In your hair.
2. Like, that's so fucked up. I won't go to that end of the backyard at night now. I refuse. I don't care.
No, neither would I. I'd be like, I wouldn't even go in the backyard ever.
No.
I'd be like, nope.
No.
Fuck that.
No, it was horrible. So I know, I'm sorry I was off topic, but I knew I had to tell you guys a story.
No, that is
I love
not
it.
off topic.
The
I hate it, but I love
goes
it.
deep. Well, you talking about wolf spiders, like, brings back memories, because I live on the East Coast, and I grew up on the East Coast, and, like, they're everywhere here, too. Like, my dad's mom had this, like, giant spider plant, and guess what? Not a spider plant. I don't fucking remember what kind of plant it was. It was a really tall plant.
Okay.
A wolf spider just lived in it.
No.
And everyone was like, oh yeah, he just lives there. I'm like, what do you mean he just lives there? And so, like, in the house, they just had a giant wolf spider that lived in the plant.
Well, they know it
and no one
bites,
really
right?
thought that was weird. Well, yeah, but they were like, he just sits in the plant. And I was like, does he just sit in the plant?
No, he goes out at night. He goes in their bed and he climbs in their mouth, like, for sure. Yeah, I can't.
And they're so, like, listeners, if you don't know how big a wolf spider is and you feel like you're into Googling it, just Google it. Like, they're bigger. They're big fuckers.
They're big. They have long legs.
Oh.
And I used to go to Girl
Hairy
Scout
legs.
camp in the middle of the woods in Maryland, and whenever they were everywhere. And one year I just remember getting up in the middle of the night to use the fucking outhouse. And there was one just on the door, and it made I don't know if this was real, but it sounded like it hissed at me, and I was like, I wouldn't pee at night anymore. I couldn't do it. Because, like, it was on the door, and, you know, outhouses, the door is right next to your knees. Like, there is not space in there. And he was on the door. I'm like, I'm not going in that fucking thing. Like, that's that spider's bathroom now. Like, no one should go in there.
So I also have a story involving a wolf spider, because...
Yay! Spider cast!
My brother, I'm 8 years older than my brother, and... when we were growing up, and I was like, I guess it would have been in like almost around college year. And my brother, so we would, at nighttime, my room was across the hall from his, and then the bathroom was on my side of the hallway in the basement. We would sometimes, like, at nighttime, whoever was in the bathroom last, the other person would usually, like, hide and jump out and scare him. Sure. And this one night, I was just like, I'm ready to go to bed. So I was in bed, my brother was in the bathroom, and he opened the door, and he was just standing there. And I was like, does he think I'm here to scare him? So I was being quiet, and I was kind of laughing to myself. And he was there for a good, like, 3 minutes. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, oh my God, there is a wolf spider right in the doorway, and I can't get out of the bathroom. And it was just staring at him. And then we spent like a good 30 minutes trying to find that thing, because I went and got something and it took off running, and we were none of us could sleep. None of us could sleep until we got rid of it.
No, you have to move. Like, that's it.
Yeah, burn it down.
Burn the
Nuke
house,
it from space. The only way to be sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I feel like because of arachnophobia, I got followed by, like, spider shit happening to me. Like, so I mentioned I met my dad when I was like a young teenager, and like, so he would pick me up on the island, and he'd have to drive me all the way. It's like an hour and a half. Then you wait for a ferry, and then you take a ferry for like almost 2 hours, and then you drive like another hour to get to Vancouver where he lives. So it's like a big trip. So we would get these, I think they were orb weavers, you know, those like big.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So this
ugly,
is at
ugly.
I'm like, they're so pretty.
Oh, their webs are fine, but no. Like, so there was this really big fucking one, really big. And it had like an egg sac attached, I'm assuming, because it's like, you know, butt was really big, whatever. And so whatever, they're always up on like above the house, like in like the island is very much, it's woods. Like, so, you know, you get a lot of that type of stuff. It's just is what it is. So whatever, he picks me up, and I'm like, I leave and go with him. And so we're driving. We drive for like a really long time. We get to the ferry. We wait. We eat. We get on the ferry. We're hanging out for 2 hours. And my dad had this convertible because he was going through like a midlife crisis, I think. And so we get to the other side of the ferry in Vancouver to drive to his house. And I'm on the freeway, and he's like putting the top down. He's trying, you know, blasting music, having fun. And I'm not kidding. I have a hoodie on like this, and the fucking thing crawls out of my hood and down my shirt.
I think you might be a magnet. I think you might. I think that you might have some kind of spider curse on you, because
I think so. And it's that movie. It's that fucking movie, because it didn't get bad until that happened. And so this thing's on me. And so I did the obvious thing anyone would. I unbuckled my seatbelt, and I started jumping out of the car on the freeway.
Okay.
And I threw myself onto the highway. Yeah, of course.
No,
That's what you do.
I'm not lying to you. My dad is driving and holding on to I think it was like my leg. I had one leg out of the car and he was like, no, and he's trying to pull me back. And I didn't care. I didn't care that I was going to die. It was better than that spider being on me. Yeah.
Yes. So, Krsy, I feel like we are a kindred soul in some ways, because here's the thing. Again, with my brother, we're driving from going to see a movie. I'm in my car. I'm driving because I'm older and he doesn't know how to drive yet. And so I'm driving my car. We're leaving the movie, and my brother just is like staring at me. And I was like, what are you doing, weirdo? And he's like, I don't know if I should tell you or not. And I immediately knew exactly what it was. And we're driving. I slam on the brakes. I put my car into brake, and I jump out of the car into, like, luckily it's at night and there's not many people on the road, but I did not care. Same as you. I was out of that car and I was like, no. And he's like,
so itchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. How big was it?
I know, my skin. I'm just like, oh my God.
It was small. It wasn't that big, but it doesn't matter with me. The size does not matter. In some ways, the smaller ones are scarier because you don't know that they're there.
It's true. It's true.
So, wait, Sid, were both of you scared of spiders before you saw Arachnophobia, or is this movie kind of like the impetus for the fear? Or like a bigger, like a much bigger fear, I guess?
I mean, I'll let Krsy start.
I feel like I was scared of them. Like, I didn't like them, and I would never touch one. But I think Arachnophobia made me, like, arachnophobic. I didn't think about how they could be poisonous and how they could bite and how they just, like, they're predators. Like, in Arachnophobia, they were, like, banding together and, like, hunting them. Like, it was, like, no, like, I that changed it for me, because I was like, no, it's sort of, I don't like snakes either, but I can deal with, like, I can hold a snake that's not poisonous or something.
Same.
But they're just, like, the fact that just, I don't know, spiders are so fucking ugly, and they just, their whole purpose is to just, like, bite you and
devour
just
and suck things dry.
And I know, yeah, exactly. They drink the blood, like, and I know they like, oh, they kill other bugs. It's good. I don't care. I don't mind other bugs. Let the other bugs, yeah. The other bugs are fine. Leave them alone. But just fuck off spiders. Like, I'm like looking outside now. Like, I'm freaked out.
There's a spider tapping on the window. Like, get that.
Yeah.
So I've always been afraid of spiders. I was afraid of spiders for as long as I have memory. I don't know why, but I've always been afraid of them. It's just a primal fear. I don't even like looking at them. Just the sight of them, even if it's like in a magazine or it's on my phone or anything whatsoever, I don't want to see it. It doesn't matter that it's not in front of me. The image of it gives me fight or flight panic. Like, it paralyzes me to my core, and it always has. This movie, though, taught me that spiders can be anywhere, and they could be everywhere. And this movie affected the way I interact with the world to the degree that, because the one, so like, I will talk about my relationship with this movie when I first saw this, but like, the scene that I think about more often than any other one is when the sheriff, they're walking through this house and trying to find spiders, and the sheriff is pulling food out of this container.
Oh, yeah.
And one of his handfuls is there's a dead spider. That moment made me realize any of these boxes of food that are in this cupboard could be holding a spider. I refused to eat cereal after that. I refused to eat crackers, anything out of a box that you could just roll up and reseal. I would refuse to eat. It got to the point that when my mom would make me cereal in the morning, I would not eat it because she would have it ready for me. And I'd be like, I didn't see what was in there. There could have been a dead spider in that bowl. And I would refuse to eat the cereal. Like, it's so bad after this movie. Between that, I still to this day will not reach up under a lamp to turn it on, to turn off the light.
Fuck that. I always
have to look down. Or I have to plug it into one of those sockets that is connected to like a light switch that I can flick. That way I don't have to do anything. Those are the best. I won't do that. I never really realized until like this watch, the popcorn situation. I don't like having bowls of popcorn. I stay away from popcorn. I've never really cared for it. And I'm wondering if it's because of this movie. Because like the idea of reaching your hand into something that, again, a spider could be in is just like, I can't. So this movie literally affected the way in which I interact with the world to an alarmingly embarrassing degree.
Well, do you still to this day, like, I check every single pair of shoes before I put them on. I don't care what it is. I've never, or slippers, like, I will not. I check my socks And they'll be rolled
Yep.
up. Yeah. No, I can't.
I will look in the socks or in the shoes. If it's one that I have not worn in a while, I will take it and I will tap it on the ground upside down to make sure nothing's coming out of it. Yes, it affects me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Krsy, were there any scenes in particular that like really stood out to you that really terrified you in this movie? There's plenty to choose from.
Yeah,
there's too many.
I mean, the shoe one was the slippers was definitely a big one. I related so much to Jeff Daniels' character because I'd be that person in the relationship, but like probably way worse. I do like that they always avoided the animals. Like the animals always got away at the last minute, so I got to give them that. But I would say probably that big finale scene where they just start coming from everywhere. Like that's actually, and it's funny. I've thought about this. I'm like, okay, if I got the biggest role of my life with all my dream like actors I'd love to work with and my favorite director and it was the best, it was going to change my life, but I had to have something like that or even a spider on me. I'm like, could I do it? I don't know if I could do it. I mean, I would give it a shot, but I don't know.
This makes me laugh at the irony that you're with someone whose name is Spider.
I know.
That makes, I was like, wait, that's fucking hysterical to me.
I know. Everyone's like, but no, and everyone knows this about me. And it's funny because I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters. They're all younger than me. And my youngest sister, she is the same as me because she was the only other kid who had a room in the basement. And I swear that was the problem. Oh. And so like literally there was this one time I looked at her and it was like, oh, there's like, I think it was like a piece of fuzz in her hair. And I was like trying to see what it was. And she's like, what? And she just started screaming. So I started laughing because she wouldn't calm down. And then she was like crying, like tears running. She's like, I would never do that to you. I would never do that to you. And I was like, I didn't even say anything. You have fuzz in your hair. Calm down. But my friends know that like if they're going to tell me that there's something there, the first thing out of their mouth is it's not a spider because I will do the same thing. If they're like looking at my hoodie or something, I will just throw it and I'll just take off running. Oh yeah, I had a married couple in the back seat and he went to say something like that and he didn't preface that and I almost crashed the car and his wife she's like, you know better, you fucking know you don't do that to her. But my little sister was in my car. It was a few years ago and you know, I always keep like one of those this is one of your fears, so this is really interesting. One of those gum, like packs of gum that are like the jumbo container that you pour out in your hand. So whatever, she's like, can I have a piece of gum? I'm like, of course. So she's like pouring it. No joke, she pours it. A spider comes out of it with the gum. Like, and so that's the first thing I thought about when you said that.
You're cursed.
Yeah,
you're got the spider curse
right there.
And now you're with someone named Spider. Yeah. Your spider is everywhere.
And I've ruined my kid too, so that's great. And
I want to hear about this.
You showed this to your daughter, right? And your daughter is young, and you watch this together.
Yeah, and I didn't think about the fact that, oh, yeah, this is my scarred for life pick because it destroyed me. And, oh, she's 3. So my daughter, she just loves horror movies, right? So she is on board. She loves, like, she's been watching, like, shark movies since she was a little baby. She loves, like, Freddy and Jason. And, you know, she loves Scream. She's, like, loves Ghostface. Like she's genuinely like not afraid of anything. She saw the new Evil Dead and she was like, "Whoa, that was cool. That was scary." Like she was into it.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, she's like unfazed, and she did grow up around us, and so she's very aware of that. Oh, that's a special effect. Oh, how do they do that? Mm-hmm. Cool. Oh, did you see that blood cannon? Like she gets it. So that's I think a big reason why she's not afraid. So I'm thinking, oh, like arachnophobia is nothing. She can. Okay. I think I passed along my spider thing to her, and she was already afraid because, you know, like I said, we do spray for them and stuff, but LA, especially like California, you get black widows, like you just do. So, you know, you warn your kids, like, you know, there's webs, just come get me and we'll make sure that they're not, you know, on your playground or whatever. You just always have to make sure. And so she watches this movie with me, and I have a reaction video. I'm going to send this to you guys. It's like the scene where the daughter's having the shower and it's like walking across the shower curtain and her screaming. She was just like devastated by this movie. And I was like, oh my God, I wrecked my kid. And then 2 nights later, it was like super late. And I think we were up watching a movie. So she fell asleep in our bed. And she's like, and so we're just like sleeping, and she wakes up screaming. And she's like, they're everywhere. There's spiders everywhere. I'm like, no, there's no spiders. And then she's like, they're on your face. And I'm like, so then of course I'm like, what? And then she's like, no, they're under your skin. And I'm like, stop. So she scared me. We're all scared. And so now I'm like, okay, so no spider movies. I cannot show that kid another spider movies ever again. Like, I've wrecked her. And I feel
They're
so
under
bad.
your skin. Kid, you can't do that. I love when kids say weird shit like that. You're like, I have to be calm here, but that's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
I know, and I'm like scratching my face, and I'm like, yeah. And so I told her the story about like the spider eggs, and she was just like, I'm like, yeah, exactly. That was real. So yeah, I've had to reassure her that black widows and spiders in general do not like to be in the house, which is a lie. Black widows don't, but spiders do. But it's fine.
So, the scene that you talked about the end of the movie where they're all literally coming down on the webs, that I think was like, I was not okay through this entire movie as I'm like, realizing, okay, spiders can hide in lamps. They can hide in my food. They can hide in popcorn. They're everywhere. They're literally everywhere. Yep. Oh, the other thing is when John Goodman, who is so good in this movie, by the way, but when he is
so good,
when he is like exploring the house and like he reaches behind the toilet seat and he's like feeling for spiders and there's one literally right there.
Yeah.
And he like pulls a handbag. He's like, there's no spiders here. That also fucked me up because I'm like, they could just be hiding from me. They're literally anywhere in this house. They could just be poking around the corner going, hey, he can't see me, is what I'm thinking, right? And so my entire life, I've had two recurring dreams. One of them is my teeth just dissolve, like they kind of crumble in my mouth.
Same thing. That's
one. And I know that's like an anxiety dream, and I haven't had that in a very long time. I really had it bad in college. But like the other dream that I've had since I was a little kid, well, since I saw this movie, actually, is a lucid dream. So if I was sleeping on my back or on my side, it'd be a different variation of it. But it would always be if I'm laying on my back, I'd be looking up at the ceiling, and the ceiling would be just covered in spiders, and they would just start descending on me, on top of me. That's my first dream, and it's in that lucid dream moment, and I would jump out of bed, I'd run over to my light, and I'd turn it on. Of course, I can't see. I'm wearing contacts. I have really bad vision. And so I'd be like squinting to make sure that there's no spiders on the ceiling. That'd be the number one. If I was sleeping on my side, I would always sleep on my right side and be right next to where my nightstand is. I would dream that there is like a big spider, like the general spider in this, that is right on the side of something, and it will hide behind my iPad, behind my lamp, behind anything that's on my desk. It will just hide there. And I will be firmly convinced that there is a tarantula or some giant spider that is there, and I will not be able to sleep for the rest of the night. These are the two recurring dreams that I have all the time.
Well, you know what that means? That means you like subconsciously you actually did see a spider there, and it's warning you.
Don't say that.
I'm just kidding. I totally made that up.
I was like, new fear unlocked. New fear unlocked.
How could you say that? Yeah, I know. But
to me,
I would never do that to you.
I would never do that.
My sister knows it too. She's like full crying. Oh God, you guys would love her. She might be worse than me. Yeah, it's bad.
So my first time watching this, and this is why this is my scarred for life moment. So again, I was afraid of spiders. I would have been 10 because I was trying to figure out when this movie came out, and I saw it on VHS, and it looks like it came out in 1991 on VHS. So I would have been 10 when I saw it.
Sure.
And I remember my dad saying, "Hey, I got this movie. We're going to watch it tonight." And I was like, okay. And then he's like, "It's called Arachnophobia." And I was immediately like, but I was like, okay, I gotta be strong. I gotta be, toxic masculinity. I gotta, be brave and just, I can handle this. I can take care of all of this. This will be fine.
Be a man, Terry.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Be a man, 10-year-old Terry.
Yeah.
And so we sat there, we watched it, and again, it's like all these scenes are like terrifying me. Yeah. The pulsating egg sac, the fact that, there's all these little spiders, the fact that they flew in spiders from New Zealand to film with this, and they're so big and they're so ugly looking, they're so terrifying. Mm-mm. And like you, I grew up in Alaska, and we were like right on the edge of woods, and so we had a lot of creatures, a lot of spiders, orb weavers, all that kind of shit coming in from the woods. And so by the end of this movie, I remember the movie ending, and I was just sitting there, just staring at the screen, just like frozen in fear, not realizing that the way my house is set up, we have a living room. There's like stairs going up to the second floor, and there's a loft. And there was a loft hanging over the living room where there's like a balcony you could look down.
Right.
So I'm not even realizing that my dad has gotten up there and dropped something on my head.
Oh, that's so mean.
And I let out this most horrifying scream. And I don't think they could calm me down for like an hour. I was panicked the entire time, just bawling and hyperventilating and just...
Did he feel bad after?
He did. But like one of the big things, he was a neat freak and I was a messy kid. And so one of the things he'd always tell me would be like, you know, brown recluses like to hide under clothes on the ground.
Oh no!
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I would get that too. Yeah. When I was a kid.
He would use all of my clutter as a thing, you know, there could be spiders hiding there. You gotta, kitty!
She's just like all over me and I keep getting itchy. I'm like, stop it.
Funny. I'm so sorry. Just going, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. I was like, surprise cat.
What's their name?
This is Witch.
Aww.
Yeah.
Witch.
Yeah.
Oh, what a floofy voice.
Oh, she's just like all over me, but it's like she doesn't know that I'm so itchy right now, and her tail's like tickling me. I'm like, stop.
And you're like,
gotta stop, buddy.
So you cannot do this right now.
I was like, not the time.
So my dad would use that against me, and it drove me. I'm now realizing as watching this, like he was just trying to get me to clean up, not not trying to. But I'm like, that's mean.
But it's true. It does. It does give them a place to go. Like the cleaner it is, the less places. I mean, it's true. Oh God. Ugh. Yeah, it's horrible.
Wild. That's so I just like, I don't love spiders, but it's fascinating hearing y'all because I have never been that scared of spiders.
Well, when we call you to come catch one. Oh, I remember my other sister when we're all scared of them, like my whole family. I think it must have been the house. But she was...
if you had lived amongst the wolf spiders in that basement, I'd probably be way scareder of spiders than I am today.
It was the worst place. Because, already being scared and then seeing arachnophobia and being like, no, that's what they're going to do to me for sure. It's happening. And, it was... But did you find, it was funny, rewatching it again, John Goodman's, like, it's weird because it felt very serious and very scary until he came on, and then, like, the tone totally shifted, and I was like, I never noticed this that much. Yeah.
His theme song, whenever he comes on the screen, it reminded me, like, watching it now reminded me of, like, the way Dewey had, like, his theme song whenever he would show up in, like, the Scream Dewey's theme. This reminded me of that as I was watching this sort of, like, I'm a cowboy, and it's very silly almost. Yeah. But this movie's always billed as a horror comedy, and aside from him and aside from jokes the characters will sometimes say,
there's no comedy.
There's no comedy in this. This is a fucking nightmare.
It's not. Yeah, like none of it is funny. No. It's all very real and very scary. Like Eight-Legged Freaks is kind of funny because they're so big and so silly, and like the whole premise is so silly. But this, it's like, no, these are like big but normal sized spiders for the most part, and it's like not
and just
that,
lots of them.
Yeah, and they're real.
They're not like that's
and they're real.
Yeah, they're not like supernatural. There isn't some weird thing to them. Like they're just really weird, fucked up spiders from the middle of nowhere, and that's terrifying. And again, like it's not. None of the jokes, like none of the deaths are played for jokes. They're all like really tragic and sad. And like it's all terror. Yes, it's all so fucking sad.
Yeah, that's why I was like, weird. I don't remember him being so comedic in this for some reason. And then I was like, but I think I just was traumatized. I just shut off that was trying to be funny. I just was like, no, this is like a serious problem that he needs to handle right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love his character. And as I have grown watched more movies and everything, I just love John Goodman though. Yeah, I like appreciate him so much.
Me too.
He's so funny. And he's just, like, such a good dude. And I love him in this movie. Yeah. And I also just love Jeff Daniels in a cute, like, dad outfit and a little, like, mini mullet. Like, Jeff Daniels is a hottie. A hot dad in this movie. And I do love how the boys, like, this is so silly, but, like, the boys are like, ew, a spider. And the mom and the daughter are like, ooh, a spider. Yeah. I don't know why. That's, like, kind of funny to have the guys just being like, absolutely not. And the women are like, what do you mean? It's just a spider.
And that's more common. I feel like that's more, like, the mom, they'll call the mom to kill the spider, usually. Not in my house at all. But other houses, yeah.
I mean, my dad he was not afraid of them as I was, but he did not like spiders, and Mom was the spider killer. Most of my friends are women, and they know that if there's a spider, they take care of it. They know that if there's a snake, I will be there and I'll help them. But if it's a spider, they will take care of it.
Well, I think that's important. I mean, I remember my sister had just had a baby, and she was like, she calls me and she was like crying, and I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, there's a spider on the ceiling. I need someone to come kill it. And I'm like, well, like I live very far away, right? Like I'm the worst person for you to call. And also,
I was like, wait, are you next door? Like, what the heck?
I live she did it one time too. Oh, this happened to my sister multiple times. So we had this cat growing up, and she was home alone. She was still a teenager, and I had moved out and was living far away again. And the cat, I guess, well, she comes upstairs, and there's a snake in the hallway of the house upstairs in our house.
Jesus Christ!
And we figured out
in the woods.
I know, and then it
really lived in the fucking woods.
In the fucking woods. Like, if you've seen Twilight, like that's where I'm from. Like it looks. That's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's like nothing. So anyway, she sees a snake, and my sister's like bawling, and then it like slithers into the linen closet, and she's like, so again, I'm the first person.
Just kidding.
Well, then again, she's home alone. I'm the first person she calls, and I'm like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And she was crying so hard she couldn't calm down, and we realized the cat had brought it in from outside and dropped it. And was like, yeah, I'm done with this. And so it's just like a mad snake in the house. Yeah. So this is like a thing, but I think it's where I'm from too. I think it makes it so much worse. Like.
Yeah.
You know.
Cats. I love cats so much. I have 2 cats, but they really sometimes just make the worst decisions.
They make horrible decisions. Horrible.
Like one time, my cat, when I lived in a really old, gross place in a city, he would like bring me cockroaches that he caught.
Aw, that's so nice.
And like on one hand, I'm like, oh, thanks, bud. On the other hand, but like he thought he was so proud of them. He's like, look what I caught. I'm like, I hate that this is in my house.
Yes.
But thank you. But
was it dead at least?
It was.
Oh, that's
good.
But
it was huge. It was huge. And I did not at that point know how big they had gotten in their house. But,
Oh, wow.
But,
Yeah. Don't like
it was fine. Either. It was all fine. It was fine.
He loved you. That's all that matters.
Exactly. He was feeding you.
It's just zucchini, like my old fat chunky gentleman who I do not think could catch anything would catch cockroaches. So good for him.
Good for him. I'd always grown up with like outdoor cats, and so it would not be.
Oh.
It would they would come in, but they would go out at night to go use the restroom, and they'd go hunt, and so you would. It was not a surprise to come home and there'd be a bird head in front of the door, just like, here you go, or a squirrel or a mouse or something, just like, here, this is for you, Dad.
It's a little treat.
Yeah. It's like, well, you
can't hunt for yourself, so we have to bring you food because if you're going to starve and we want you to eat. And it's like, thanks, I guess.
But at least they do. Like my cats don't care about spiders. Like my cat that passed away, he was amazing because he wouldn't eat the spider, but he'd see it and he'd just like put his paw on it, squish it, and be like, yes. Like, thank you. So I just find like a dead spider every once in a while, and I'm like, okay, he's got me. Like my cats now, they don't give a shit, like at all. They're just useless. At all.
I have so many stories involving spiders. And at work too. I used to live at work in this really shitty building, and there was one time the way that I was in like an area with 4 desks and with 4 people, and the desks would be in different corners, and we'd turn around and we would sit there and chat with each other. And there's one time where we were just chatting, and one of my coworkers just jumps up, runs, and stomps his foot in the middle of the ground, and everyone was like, "What the fuck was that?" And he's like, I didn't want to worry you because, again, everyone knows I am not the person to go to for spiders. There was this big ass spider, like probably this big, and it left a splotch on the ground when he stepped on it.
That means it was full of poison and eggs.
Exactly.
Did it pop? Did it make a popping sound?
All I heard was thump as his foot hit it, so it might have, but it left. There was we left, there was a splotch. They're
that's
alien.
Disgusting. Like what? It was full of blood or something. I asked my daughter because I was curious because I was doing this. I'm like, well, what part of the movie was like the scariest to you? Because you know she's hilarious. Like I want to make an entire YouTube channel of just her reaction videos when she watches movies. Like she's like the woman in the theater that's like screaming at it, like no, you almost got it. Like she's that person. So she was doing that, and so I was like, well, what was the scariest part? And she was like, oh, when the egg sac was like pulsating. And I'm like, interesting. That's what fucks you up when you're a little kid. Those weird, like, like you said, alien-esque things, like the fact that they're like egg sacs. Yeah.
Because you don't really have a sense of how these things happen and what is happening there and like what an egg, and especially because here it's like even bigger and grosser and alien. So
no, it's so weird.
So talking though, so one thing that jumped out at me when you were talking earlier about how in this movie it's the women that are like, ooh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
As I was watching this, I was like, they are the reason that this whole thing went down, because what do? They take that spider and instead of killing it, they bring it out to the barn.
Thank you.
And then we get this really funny, it's subtle, but it's really funny crisscross between the married couple going, we got to christen the house, and then the spiders christening the fucking barn. And it's because they drop that spider out there, and the spiders are like literally fucking on screen. Like it's like, ah! Like this is the reason.
Oh my God. So funny.
You're totally right, though. I get so mad at people who are like, oh, like, let it live. I'm like, why? It's going to come into my house now. Like, you understand that, right? Sorry, Elle's just crashing the interview now. Hi. We're talking about arachnophobia. Okay, go play. Go watch your show. Go watch Zombieland. Okay, off she goes.
God, she's so cute.
Adorable.
She's so cute. Hi. Bye.
Okay, bye. Zombieland.
3-year-old behavior.
I'm glad to hear that you're like, no, let's not allow them to live, because I am very much, I care about all creatures, but spiders do not deserve to live because they are not natural.
No,
they have been
evil.
summoned from hell.
They're evil. They are.
They are.
Yeah. No, it's just like you realize not only are they going to come back in the house, they're going to have babies, they're going to spread, there's going to be more. And it's like, no, they just have to die. That's it. I don't care. And they'll be like, oh, it's this little. I'm like, yeah. And guess what? It gets big. It's disgusting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or it can mate with a big ass spider from Venezuela and then make all these baby poisonous spiders that look horrifying.
Yeah, exactly. And then they have like that home base, and it's going to be in your wine cellar, and it's going to be like a whole thing. Oh my God.
Ugh, the wine cellar. I love like this wine cellar where it's like, it's always the rich people moving in are like, oh, this fancy bottle of wine. And he's like, it must be a good bottle of wine. It's too expensive to drink it, which I love.
Yeah.
Put it in the wine cellar. And then, of course, it's beautiful Chekhov's wine cellar, where later it's like where actually everyone's hiding. Because it's like, oh, it's the barn, but it's actually, is it the generals they call the spider?
Yeah.
And the queen their second nest is in the house.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's what it's like, burn the house down. There's no coming back from this.
I'm
burn it down,
actually
everybody.
sweating talking about it. Like, seriously, it's just so gross.
Well, and there's the scene where like the mama, it has the big egg sac attached to her butt, and she is crawling into the cellar, and I'm just like, is that what spiders do? Because I'm like, that's not good. I don't like that.
I know. I think it is.
That's not good.
No, it's not good at all.
No.
But then he falls through which I love the setup where it's like, I think there's termites, it's rotten, right? And so then like he gets stuck in the house, the spiders are literally descending. I would cease to be at this point. I would just be like, yeah, this is over.
Well, yeah, when he goes into that paralyzed like shock thing like that, I would die. Like I would actually die.
Yeah, my heart would have seized up. I'd be like,
yeah, no.
Ghost would be leaving my body, just going, nope, you're done, dude. I'm out.
Yeah. It wouldn't be worth it, because then you have to carry on after that, and it's not worth it.
Can you imagine how traumatizing that experience would be? Like, if you already have arachnophobia, like, I'm traumatized watching it, knowing that it is a fictional thing that did not happen. But can you imagine actually having to live through that? And then, I don't know, I'd be having PTSD, like, constantly. That is not a good experience.
No, and I'm so curious about, like, is there a behind the scenes? Because I'm curious who was really scared of spiders, who had to work on this film, you know?
Yeah. So I do know. So like, there's a little bit of fun behind the scenes stuff, because they had to fly over 300, and they're called Avondale spiders from New Zealand, and they were chosen for their large size, social life, and harmlessness to human. And
their social life. Like they got a great
because like, you know, a lot
life.
of spiders, because they're creepy, and they'll just hang in the corner of the room, and they'll just sit there. So I guess these are more active.
Oh God, that's even worse. Like,
I know. And so the spiders are tested for friendliness with human, and the ones that were a little bit okay around humans were the ones selected for filming. And the way that they got them to do what they wanted and hit their marks was they used lemon pledge because they didn't like it. And so they would draw tunnels of lemon pledge to lead the spiders, and then use a blowing hot air, like a hair dryer, to like send them down the path. And that is how they got them to meet their marks.
Everyone, arm yourself with lemon pledge and hot air.
I know. If,
gonna go to Amazon and just order.
I would just pour it everywhere. Seriously.
But
that's
the one thing that the one thing that I did find was that the cast actually adopted a number of the spiders and were not afraid of them in any way, is what this Wikipedia part on production says. And then after cut was yelled on the set, the cast would stop screaming and say, "Okay, be careful, don't step on that. Don't forget about that one over there."
Wow.
And I'm like, no, I can't.
That's so cute. I love that for them. Because then, no. I mean,
someone's gotta love spiders.
It's true. I guess.
No.
Yeah.
No one needs to.
I do love the Foley work in this, and apparently the sound effects of spiders being crushed was done by by stepping on mustard packets or potato chips.
Oh, God. That's actually cool.
That is cool. I love learning about that stuff, about like how they make Foley artist work is so cool to me, like how they make certain sounds. It is amazing.
Oh, yeah. Just coming up with like weird, like, yeah, if you have to figure out like, oh, if these spiders make noise, what do they sound like? Or, just, it's so fun.
Yeah. Like, oh, it's wild.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that like I never realized until I watched this, because this is only the third time I've ever seen this movie, and the second time was for our very first podcast episode recording, where there was just Mary Beth and I, and we were talking about this movie and Poltergeist, and that was the second time I saw it. So this is the third. But the thing that I realized as an adult is the way that this is structured like a slasher. So like. There's like people getting killed by the spiders, and everyone's like, who's doing it? At one point, everyone in town thinks it's the new doctor that is called Dr. Death that is killing his patients, but it's kind of a mystery for them. I mean, we know what's going on, but like in a true slasher, they kind of they pop out, they kill, they go, and people are like, what happened here? And so the fact that I think it's so interesting to me that this movie is basically like a slasher with baby spiders, and I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that is really cool, though. The whole slasher thing, that's so much fun. I mean, I guess. Still. So you've only seen it 3 times. So you don't like to torture yourself. You're not like me. Like, that's a weird thing I do, that I like things that really bother me. I watch it over and over again. It's
funny because like movies that actually do scare me, I will watch. I've historically watched over and over again, but this movie just, I couldn't. I watching this was it last night? No, it was 2 nights ago that I watched it. Watching it, I was literally sitting there like this through most of the movie, because even though this is only the 3rd time I've seen it, I knew what was happening. Like, I have this movie memorized, and I don't know how, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, there's gonna be a spider coming up here, and there's one scene that I missed. And I can't even remember what part it is, but there's a part where like you think there's gonna be a spider, and then there's not, and then it jumps out. And it's a jump scare. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I forgot about it. So I'm like this, and I was watching with my roommate, and she'd be like, okay, they're gone. And I would put it down, and it'd be okay. And that moment I put it down and it jumps, and I literally like yelped. I jumped out of my chair, because I was like, I remember every single part of this movie, but I apparently missed that one little jump scare. But yes, I can't. This movie, this will be the last time I will ever watch this movie. I am done with this movie.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's been a long time for me. I have not watched it in a long time. Like, and we talked about the sleeping bag thing. Like, that first kill in the movie, it was because he went into the spider went into the guy's sleeping bag. Mm-hmm. Huh. Why do people camp in the desert? What's wrong with them?
Why do people camp?
Yeah, thank you. I agree. I swear to God, that's the reason I'm with spiders, because I was like, do you like camping? So he's like, no. I'm like, we're fine. We're going to be fine. We don't like anything.
Wait, we're
going
to be great.
Yeah, it's fine. No,
my husband and I, we're not camping people. No. My family is really into camping, and I did it a lot as a kid.
Mine too.
And I tried really hard to be into it, but like I just could never. I was too scared of the dark. I had seen too many horror movies. It was just like, it was too much, and also
it was the spiders,
it was fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I
hate it. I don't get it. I don't understand. It's like that, or like hunting and fishing, things like that. It's like, I don't want to kill animals. I don't want to do that, and I don't want to camp. Like, that's it. And I don't want spiders near me. But they're everywhere.
No.
Yeah. That's fair.
No.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, do we want to wrap this up and give this our rating out of 5?
sounds good.
All right. Terry, how many Chekhov wine cellars out of 5 do you give Arachnophobia?
I mean, I hate this movie. Like, this movie is technically well done. Frank Marshall directed it.
Mm-hmm.
Great job. Cinematography's great. Music is fantastic. The acting is really good. It has really good actors in it. It's really effective. It's very scary. So if we're looking at it in terms of being super effective, it is a 5 Chekhov's wine cellar movie. But if we're talking about my reaction to it, no, this doesn't even deserve a single star. I hate this movie so fucking much because it literally has terrorized me for my entire life. From when I was 10 on, this movie has changed the way I interact with the world. Oh, and there's one brief dream that I had at one point where I was talking about with the spiders coming down. There was one time where I had a cat when I was growing up. His name was Feisty, and he would sleep in the bed with me. And there was one time where he was sleeping on my chest, and I was having the lucid dream, and they were coming down. And I scooped him up, and I threw him off the bed to save him. And then I dive bombed off the bed and turned on the light. And of course, there's no spiders there. And my cat just sort of walked up and like, what the fuck? Yeah. Just sort of stumbled offward, like confused. But this movie has totally affected the way I live my life, and I hate it. So that is my all over the place rating of this movie. What about you, Mary Beth?
Well, I actually saw this movie the first time when we talked about it for the first time. I was aware of it, but I just had never seen it, but I was never that scared of spiders. But I think it's a really well done movie. I love the writing. It's really entertaining. It's really scary, like outside of the fact that I am not totally arachnophobic. But like again, it's framed like these spiders feel like they're supernatural, but they're not. But they feel like like such a big threat, and I just love how it builds, and that final scene with just all of the spiders everywhere, and how it really just builds to an absolutely ridiculously horrifying conclusion. And I think it's got to be, and also Jeff Daniels is just very cute as Spider Daddy in this movie. Yes. So I'm gonna have to give this 4.5 Chekhov's wine cellars out of 5. Krsy, you have the final word. How many Chekhov's wine cellars out of 5 do you give Arachnophobia?
Well, I think that this film needs to be rated on its effectiveness, and it does its job. I also think that there's never been another spider movie that is thus far, hopefully someone could top it, that's ever done anything like this that's been able to top this film that's even kind of as scary. Maybe people are just too scared to even make one, which I don't blame them. So I'm going to give it 5 because it's hard to watch. It's still to this day. I saw it when I was a little kid. And I mean, it's been around since 1990. How someone not topped it, but they haven't. So it deserves 5.
Hell yeah.
I can't disagree with you. Although, you know, what's interesting is that I have a problem because Christopher Landon, who is a queer director, I love him, is apparently remaking this movie. I heard this. And so the queerness in me and my love for him is like, I want to support him, but then the other side is like, I don't, unless they're CG, because I don't know if, is this the same way with you, Krsy? Like, CG spiders don't bother me. It's real spiders.
Yeah, CG stuff in general, I don't get that scared of. It doesn't matter what it is.
Same.
Other than, you know, just, I feel like if they could do it like they did in Jurassic Park, where like the dinosaurs look so fucking real. But yeah, no, they have to be done with, I hope if he's going to do it, that it's with real spiders. It's going to be way more effective.
It will be incredibly more effective. Yeah. But like, because like I was thinking, because Eight-Legged Freaks, I think is I enjoy that movie. Yeah. I think it's funny. It doesn't really scare me. But again, they're all animatronic or CG spiders, right? And so it's like, it doesn't bother me, but the real ones do. And so I'm like, is he going to use real spiders in this, or is it going to be CG? And I'm like, part of me is like, I kind of hope he does do CG because
so you
then
can
I'll be able
watch
to see it.
Yeah.
Yes. But also I think the reason why Arachnophobia is so terrifying is because they're real spiders and they have presence and they are there.
Yes.
Exactly.
100%. I think, well, if they do use real spiders, I think we should watch it together over Zoom and then we can see how we do.
Metaphorically hold each other's hand and get through the experience.
Oh.
You're not going to be able to hear anything if my daughter's in the room because she'll be yelling over us the whole time, but that's fine.
Hey, that'll
be good, like a good tension breaker.
Yeah.
A good tension breaker is her yelling at the TV.
Yes.
Well, Thank you so much, Krsy, for joining us and putting a nail in this movie. This is 100 and who knows how many episodes later, and some guest has finally brought it. We can cross this movie off.
You can move on with your life.
Move on with my life.
Hey, will the nightmares stop now? Maybe you'll just dream about getting egg sacks in your hair. Oh, you're good. You don't have it. You're fine.
Exactly. No hair.
In your beard. Yeah.
No.
Oh my God.
Where can our listeners find you? Are you on social media? And what do you have coming up that you can share or talk about, or whatever you want to plug?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Krsy Fox, KRSYFOX. I'm on Twitter as Knee-High Fox. And I'm on Facebook as Krsy Fox, or my production company is One Fox Productions. And we have a new film that is going to be coming out probably the top of next year or maybe late this year called Little Bites. We're going into production. We're shooting on the 19th of June. And it follows a young widow who I'm going to play that has a monster that lives in a bedroom of her house. And she's allowing him to slowly eat her alive, because if she doesn't, he's going to go after her 10-year-old daughter. So it's very disgusting. And it's basically a metaphor for being a parent and how trying to protect your children can slowly destroy you. But it's a really gross, scary metaphor. That is so cool. Thank you. But no spiders, so that's okay. You can watch it.
Hey, I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Yeah. I can't wait till one day, Krsy, you make the ultimate spider movie as like your ultimate act of trying to get over your fear, or like saying fuck you to spiders. I cannot wait for it. And I want your daughter to star in it.
Right? Oh, she's got to. Well, hey, you never know. Maybe I feel like if I got the right role, I'd be like, you know what, this is my moment. I have to do this. You know, and it'll be a great story about overcoming and just, you know.
You're braver than me. Because, like, I remember thinking, like, when Fear Factor was on the television, and I would watch it and be like the physical stuff is like I would have a hard time with. It's like, but I could do this until they get to the part where like there's a spider or eating it. I'm like, nope, I couldn't, and I'd just be. I don't care how much money is at stake. I'm walking away. I can't do it.
No, so. I swear, like having a kid, like this is most people think about real things when they have a child, and I think about. I'm like, okay. Now I love this thing so much. Like if a spider was on her, or if I had to grab a black widow, I would have to do it, and I would do it for her. And those are the things I think about, I swear, because of arachnophobia. I'm like, okay, and I think about scenarios with spiders. And I definitely have given my fear to my kids. So that's really bad. Like parenting fail number one right there. It's really sad. And I'm sorry, Al, when you're going to grow up and be like, you know, why? And this is the moment.
Well, you know, if that's the one thing, you know, there are worse things too. A healthy fear of spiders.
Yeah. She's not scared of anything else so far. So that's good.
There you go.
Yeah. The listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. What was your experience with arachnophobia? You can send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on Twitter. I am at MB McAndrews.
And I'm McGailey Dreadful.
And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast.
And please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe. And if you want to help us, we are on Patreon.
Yay. Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there, but most importantly, stay creepy.
She had a lot to say. I can't even top that.
It's a good clip. Yeah, she's insane. And that's Witch.
And until next time.
That's what's going to be our sign off from now on. It's just that clipping of her going.
Somebody please think of the children. Somebody please think of the children.
want to have fun and have scratchers to scratch, there's a playful way you can do just that. Scratch with the key or acrylic nail. Scratch with the quill from a porcupine tail. Use a belt buckle from your friend Lamar. Or scratch with your pick while you play guitar. You can scratch in a bunch of different playful ways. Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day.
Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is The Briefing Room? It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system. If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served. Hi, I'm Detective Dave. I'm Detective Dan. Together we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood. So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished. From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th. We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.